गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पद आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं चर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम्। ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवि चक्षुराततम्। ॐ श्लीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। हरे रामकृष्ण 3 times। ॐ हरे रामकृष्ण हरे रामकृष्ण हरे रामकृष्ण। So, okay. Yeah.
There's one chart if you open, I think it's one of the Sairam.
One second, I'll open this so that you can see what I'm seeing. Function. Oh, it says LCO. Oh, I have to have this. Okay. Japan, sir. There is a chart called Sairam. This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
One question I have is, this is somebody again from Secunderabad.
Somebody?
Somebody from Secunderabad.
Secunderabad, yeah.
When I suggested something to him, he also referred to some other astrologer.
Okay.
And he said that other astrologer has some things about from January 12th there is a great period that's going to start for him and something financially and things like that.
Okay.
So I also saw that, and he wanted me to have a chat with that other person
Okay.
about coincidence of what I think and what he thinks and whatever. So I talked to him.
Okay.
Then he made the chart. He doesn't use the software. He
Right.
is old as he is an old
Right.
great person, and he uses the manual calculation. He gets Mercury in Scorpio with Jupiter Sun.
He gets Mercury in Scorpio.
With
Right.
Jupiter Sun.
Whereas you have it at 2 degrees in Sagittarius. Right. Okay.
And it does not change. It cannot be in Scorpio unless the date is off by 3 days.
Right.
He is 27.
Right.
Unless it is 24th evening 4:50 or something like that.
Right.
He cannot be in Scorpio. But he thinks it has to be in Scorpio because this person is a chartered accountant. And he says it is Jupiter-Mercury combinations, and he has to be in Scorpio. And he said he has referred to 14 other Panchangas, and he thinks it is in Scorpio. And
14 other Panchangas?
No, he has referred to, he has
Right.
made his calculations out of other Panchangas that he calculated from.
See, if you, sometime back I compared the Panchangam that my father used to use, for example. It's called Pidapartivar Panchangam, which is, he is the Asthana Siddhanti of the Kanchi Kamakodi Pitham. So when I compared, everything was actually matching, even the Tithi end times, Nakshatra end times, and the longitudes of the planets, they basically reasonably match. Any error has to be, any difference between a standard Panchanga and this has to be within arc seconds. But there are some Panchangas where they use a different Ainamsa. They don't use Lahiri Ainamsa, Chatupaksha Ainamsa. With those, basically, the Ainamsa, there are some Panchangas where the Ainamsa is off from the Lahiri Ainamsa by even something like 4-5 degrees. So with those, if somebody is using a different Ainamsa, then there is a possibility of different calculations. Also, this is not common in Andhra Pradesh, but in Tamil Nadu, there are some people who are actually using Druk Siddhantam. Druk Siddhantam, sorry, not Druk, Vakya Siddhantam, instead of Druk Siddhantam. In Druk Siddhanta, we are actually looking at the actual positions in the skies, and based on it we are calculating. So we are using modern ephemeris. So all these people, for example, Pravartwara Panchangam, Rarangi Tangirala Panchangam, they all use Druk Siddhantam like us, like the Jagannath Hora. But there is one section of Tamil Nadu where they use the so-called Pambu Panchangam or the Snake Panchangam, which is based on Vakya Siddhantam. Some formulas to compute the planetary positions given some time back, several centuries back by somebody, they just blindly follow those formulas without refining them with the changing time. Those were also originally computed based on some kind of observation, but later they didn't refine them basically. They just stick to one formula given by somebody. It's called Vakya Siddhantam. If somebody uses Vakya Siddhantam, then it's not just an Ayinamsha issue. One planet can be 3 degrees forward, another planet can be 4 degrees backward. Things can be quite unstable. So if this person is getting Mercury basically 2 degrees away from where we are getting, either he is using Vakya Siddhantam instead of Druk Siddhantam, which is rare in Andhra Pradesh. You are saying an Andhra astrologer, right? And second, or he is using a different Ayinamsha instead of Lahiri. There are Panchangas in Andhra Pradesh and other states where they use non-Lahiri Ayinamshas, some old Ayinamshas. So that is a possibility. But if he says I use 15 or 20 Panchangas, I get this, that doesn't make sense, because a majority of the Panchangas that are published today use Lahiri Ayinamsha only. Everybody basically standardized on Chitrapaksha Ayinamsha. With that Indian government basically constituted this panel headed by Lahiri, and they made this recommendation. After that, most of the Panchangas are Lahiri based only. So I don't understand why he said it.
But one thing is, after doing this,
but one thing I want to make sure is, just make sure that there is no confusion with the time.
no, with the time there is no confusion.
27, because this is 12:32 a.m. So 26 just left and 27 came, not the other way. Okay.
But he agrees on, he took the same timing.
Okay. And I'm just verifying, yeah.
But he gets the same Purva Bhadra, because if the
Moon he is getting same.
yeah,
you are
moon
saying.
is getting same.
So he is getting the same longitude, but probably not the same longitude. He will get Purva Bhadra, but instead of 24:35, he is getting something like 22 degrees, 23 degrees, something like that. If it's an Ayinamsha issue.
Could be like that,
Right,
but it is still in the Purva Bhadra.
Okay, that
But
doesn't
whereas
mean.
if I take with Mercury being here, I will be totally off. That
Right.
comes in Shravana.
Right. Just forget it. From our point of view, we are using Lahiri Ayinamsha. We don't even want to consider an Ayinamsha that is 2 degrees off or 3 degrees off from Lahiri Ayinamsha. Just forget it. We should, if he says he has to be in Mercury, you can deal with it basically. That we can see.
And also from the fact that Jupiter and Mercury has to be there together for him to become a chartered accountant. I didn't get that point.
See, people have all kinds of thumb rules that they basically think this must be the case. If you study the charts of chartered accountants, you will not find that Jupiter and Mercury are together. Forget Scorpio, some other sign. It's not necessary that Jupiter and Mercury have to be together. See, the thing is, people learn certain thumb rules, and especially when you see a particular chart, when you see things make sense based on your own perspective, you basically say, oh, this is it, this must be. So it could just be a case of that. You shouldn't worry too much about it. But it is a good exercise to see why he is a chartered accountant, based on our approach, based on what we have learned. Our formula is not Jupiter and Mercury being together for a chartered accountant. Like I said, you will find so many charts in which that is not true, but the person is a CA. So just forget about his assertions. The assertion that Jupiter and Mercury have to be together for this person to be chartered accountant, if you ask me, is baseless. That has no real basis. You can't really say Jupiter and Mercury must be together for any chartered accountant. That's meaningless. Secondly, the calculation part of it. Mercury is in Sagittarius versus Scorpio. It's just a matter of calculation. He is using different calculations. We are used to some calculations. And as a matter of fact, the only thing that concerns me is his assertion that he checked 15 Panchangas and they give. Yeah, that concerns me. That should not be the case. If he gets a sampling of various Panchangas that are published in Andhra Pradesh, he should basically find that most of them actually give in Sagittarius for this particular time. So that is weird. But let's leave it. Okay. Let's see. So now chartered accountant. This person is supposed to be a chartered accountant, right?
He is.
Right. He is. What I mean by he's supposed to be is he is. So he is a chartered accountant. Does it make any sense based on what you know? Is the time accurate? What made him a chartered accountant? Okay. What dasha is he running now? Let's check a few things. First of all, what dasha is he running now? What is the dasha applicable here? Shatabdika dasha?
Yeah.
Is it? Navamsha Lagna Mashpi Simha. It's Purafalguni Val means, yeah. Actually, let me give the data for those who are listening. The birth data is 1971, November 27, 12:32 a.m. This is basically November 26 just got over and November 27 just started, half hour back. So November 27, 1971, 12:32 a.m. Indian Standard Time, 5 hours 30 minutes east of GMT. The place is Secunderabad, India, 78 degrees 30 minutes east, 17 degrees 27 minutes north. So Navamsa Lagna and Rashi Lagna both are in Simha. So the dasha that is applicable is Shatabdika dasha. So this gentleman is running Shatabdika dasha of Saturn. When did he start his career as a CA? In 90s. Late 90s, okay. So he started in Mars dasha. He became a chartered accountant in Mars dasha. And then he's been a chartered accountant since then. And even in Saturn dasha, he's a chartered accountant. Does it make sense? See, another thing, we don't really judge career just based on Rashi chart. Forget Jupiter, Mercury, or any planet basically. Mercury being in the 10th house or Jupiter being in the 10th house. We don't basically judge career based on just that. And we have seen enough examples to know that that doesn't really give concrete results. On the other hand, if you look at Dashamsha, we have seen so many examples where you get something more concrete. So let's just do what we do. Go to the Dashamsha and see whether there is a chance of this person being a chartered accountant. Okay, what do you see? What do you think? So her point is the 6th house is owned by Mercury and aspected by Mercury, so it can be a chartered accountant, okay? But quite honestly, if you look at 2nd, 6th and 10th, which is stronger? 10th has 2 planets, Sun and Moon. So 10th is a reasonably strong. For me? Moon is the 7th lord, so yeah, that is a very good point. The 7th, she is questioning the fact that he is in service. You are questioning the fact that he is in service. Is that what you are doing? Is he actually in service or own business? He has own business. So 7th house has Mars, 7th lord Moon is in the 10th house. So having an own business makes more sense. Okay, very good. But the thing is, the business having to do with chartered accountancy, does it make sense? Mars, Moon, neither really shows any accounting. You could show somebody who cooks or some technologist. You can show so many things. A doctor with Sun and Moon. So many things are possible. But chartered accountant, is it really making any sense? The point that you mentioned, 6th house being Gemini and being aspected by Mercury is the only point. But that's a weak point. That's not really a very strong point. That's not really backing up what we know that much. So what is going on? Could the chart be wrong? Could the chart be wrong? Could there be an error in the birth time? Quite honestly, do you think that if the time is accurate, his status as a chartered accountant in career makes sense? Quite honestly, what is your take? Okay, we'll come to what it should be later. But does Capricorn Lagna in Dashamsha make sense to you? Quite honestly, can you reconcile with that? Very difficult. In some cases, we can reconcile with some difficulty and say, okay, that also makes sense. But this is a case where it's quite difficult to reconcile. It's very unlikely. Given that chart, it's very unlikely that he is a chartered accountant. So, now come to your point. So, she said Sagittarius would make sense. Now, the thing is, it could either be Aquarius or Sagittarius. We are right in the middle of Capricorn. It could be either. Does Aquarius explain a chartered accountant? Not quite. Right? Sagittarius. And then actually 10th Lord Mars would be in the 6th house, so that would be service. It doesn't make sense. Sagittarius. If you take Sagittarius, let's move the Lagna back by a sign. So we change the time given. Oops, what did I do? I pressed some. So I changed the time to, what was the original time? 32. So from 32 we change it to something like 25. 12:25 a.m. So this is such an early birth, early morning birth, midnight birth. So everybody may be sleeping and not noted the time immediately. I'm just kidding, but 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes error is not really impossible. So moreover, we will basically go by our understanding of the chart and our understanding of the principles. So you can check with the person later whether such an error, 7-minute error is possible, or whether he thinks it's within a couple of minutes. You can do that later, but with this, does the career make sense? I'm saving this, and I will also note the original time. Oh, you saved lot of notes. Cool.
Surprising for me to put in.
What?
Surprising for me to put in.
New Year resolution? No, just kidding. I'll just note the original birth time because I changed and saved it. Original birth time is this. Rectify based on D10 CA. Okay, I saved some notes. Okay. So with this, does it make sense that he's a businessman? He has his own practice, and he's into chartered accountancy. Do both the things make sense? Well, now the 10th house. 10th house contains A6 of working hard, of all the overcoming obstacles. So basically there is a connection between 6th house and 10th house, because A6 is in the 10th house, and the 10th Lord is quite strong in Lagna, Mercury. Moreover, A9 and A10 are there. So Mercury is not only associated with the 10th house, he is associated with A10. And A10 and A9 are together in Lagna, which makes them quite strong. So he is basically quite a reasonably successful person, successful career. And the career has to do with Mercury, who is the Lord of 10th house, who has Argala on the 10th house, who occupies A10 and who is in Lagna. So Mercury can definitely explain accountancy. Now what else? And what else? What else can you say? And business, how do you explain the fact that he has business? For me? 7th Lord in Lagna, absolutely. The 7th Lord is in Lagna. So there is a possibility of business. Now, is it possible that he would start business in Mars Dasha? I mean, he would start his practice in Mars Dasha. Does it make sense that his career started in Mars Dasha? He is also? Yeah, he is Vyadhipati, but you made the right point. He is the 5th Lord. Is he a benefic or malefic for this Lagna? See, he is in the 8th house. A planet in the 8th house doesn't only show fall or frustration. 8th house is the house of working hard. Pardon me? He is debilitated. For me?
It's in the back.
Dusthana Lord being debilitated is good, but he is in Dusthana in debilitation. It doesn't really change anything. So, but the thing is, even though he is in a Dusthana, what it can show is working hard. He will have during the Mars Dasha, this person can be working very hard on his career. The bottom line is, he is the Lord of the 5th house. 5th and 12th house. 5th house is strong. So he is a functional benefic, not a malefic. And in general, we said earlier, long back, that for somebody to have success in career or even to start career, Lagna and 5th house are very important, because 5th is the house of recognition. So being the 5th Lord and also occupying A5, he is occupying the A5, occupying the Arudha of 5th house. So it shows tangible recognition of abilities, etc. So he will get recognition as an able person in his career. So Mars Dasha is actually a good Dasha for career. It's not really a bad Dasha. Okay, so Most probably, my guess is we haven't really worked on this chart that much. We just looked at one aspect that we know, which is that he is a CA. But my strong feeling is this is the right Dashyamsa Lagna. The Dashyamsa Lagna in the original chart is inaccurate. That is my feeling. The time is not correct. It is probably 12:25. Okay.
The other point why that Mercury should possibly not be in I'm just discussing a general point.
Yeah.
Why it should possibly not be in Sagittarius is in the 5th house, because if Mercury is there and Apumsak there, he would not get children for the first 6 years at least after marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not the case.
Well, the thing is, again, that is, I mean, it's just a thumb rule. It's just a thumb rule. You have to look at the strength of the 5th house overall. The 5th house is owned by the 5th Lord Jupiter, who is quite strong in a very fertile sign, Scorpio, and he is with Sun, another fertile planet. So Lagna Lord and 5th Lord are together. So it's not really that bad. And of course you have to consult the Saptamsa, the strength of Jupiter, etc. in the Saptamsa. Just because Mercury is in the 5th house, it doesn't mean he will not have children for a certain amount of time after marriage. And the thing is, you just wipe it out from your brain that just because one astrologer somewhere said, oh, Mercury is not at 2 degrees, he is at 2 degrees Sagittarius, he must be in Scorpio, don't think that somehow his theory is correct. There are so many theories in the world, so many people with so many theories and so many thumb rules. You can't. We have been using Lahiri Ainamsa. It's not accurate. It has some inaccuracy, but it is of the order of arc minutes, not degrees. So, if you basically say that Lahiri Ainamsa is inaccurate, the whole foundation of whatever you have learnt is basically shaken. All the divisional chart, everything is utter nonsense. And I am quite convinced that that is not true. All these people who make predictions just based on Rashi chart, they are basically going by their intuition. They are not really doing any science. They are just going by their intuition. So somebody who is going by their intuition and making predictions with Vagbala, just because he says, oh, here, Mercury must be here, you can't basically be biased by it and let the whole foundation of whatever you have learned be shaken. Just forget it. Mercury is in Sagittarius. Deal with it. If something doesn't make sense with it, see why. Why still, despite Mercury being in Sagittarius, that particular result happened. Deal with it, rather than denying and saying Mercury is probably in Scorpio because that gentleman. Irrespective of your respect for that gentleman, Mercury is in Sagittarius on that particular day. There is no doubt about it. Now, look at Saptamsa, because you brought up the point that he has a child, he has children. See, for somebody to have children, for somebody to be blessed with children, Saptamsa has to be strong. So if you look at Rashi, the 5th Lord is Jupiter, he is basically strong, even though he is in the 4th house. But if you look at the thumb rules given by Parashara, the 5th Lord being in a Kendra or Trikona is actually good for, in a friendly sign, in a Kendra is actually good for 5th house. So the 5th Lord Jupiter is giving a Rajoga with Lagna Lord, he is with a friend in a friendly sign, and he is in a Kendra. So that is just based on Rashi chart, things are going okay. And look at this chart. What is it? The Saptamsa. In Saptamsa, assuming that this time is accurate, well, it's 9 minutes either way. So let's assume that we have already moved it back by 7 minutes. So it's not further by another 2.5 minutes. So let's say this is accurate. So the Lagna Lord is badly placed in the 8th house. That is quite bad. But despite that, the 5th house, if you see, the 5th house, or let's say 5th Lord of the Rashi chart, the Karkasha, the Karyasha, Jupiter, he happens to be a functional benefic in this Saptamsa. He happens to own the 2nd house of Kutumba, family, and the 5th house of children, and he aspects it quite strongly. So 5th house is owned by Jupiter and aspected by Jupiter quite strongly. So Jupiter's association with the 5th house and Jupiter's strength in both Rashi and Saptamsa is a very good indicator of children, probably early children, and also luck with children, good children. So there isn't any, just because Venus and Mercury are in the 5th house in Saptamsa, you can't really say that he he will not have children for 6 years or 5 years or any particular amount of time. Any other questions on this chart? Okay. Should we look at the BPHS? Okay. So which chapter are we on? Ninth house. Did we finish our? We finished 8th house, so we have to start 9th house, right? I thought we did half of 9th or something, or maybe wrong. You guys have to tell me. I have no clue. Lagna Lord is exalted.
Moon in 11th house.
Yeah.
8th house has Jupiter, then it's a long life. That's the current house.
One second. Lagna Lord in?
Lagna Lord exalted, Moon in 11th house.
Moon in 11th house. Gandhasthana Gade Jive Dirgham Ayur Na Samsayah. So that is verse 14.
8th house has Jupiter.
Yeah. Lagna Lord is in exaltation sign, Moon is in 11th house, Jupiter is in 8th house, then Dirgham Ayur Na Samsayah. Without doubt, he has a long life. That is verse 14. After that, there is one more verse. It is very unlikely that we would have stopped with just one verse left in the chapter. We probably finished all of them. You didn't write down. Yeah, Lagna Shavati Palo. The next one is, if the Lagna Lord is very strong, aspected Drishtah Kendra Sansthaye Subhagraha, aspected by benefic in quadrants, Dhanai Sarva Gunai Sabdham, then he will have lot of wealth and lot of good qualities, and he will have a long life. So I believe we finished 8th house. Now we are on the 9th house. So from this class, somebody basically take the responsibility of noting down the verse where we are on, so that it's easy in the next class. Okay, so we'll do Bhagya Bhava Phaladhyaya, the 9th house, effects of the results of the 9th house. Atha Bhagya Bhavam Vipra Phalam Vakshe Tavagratah Sabalo Bhagya Pe Bhagye Jato Bhagya Yuto Bhavet Bhagyasthanakate Jive Yadi She Kendra Sanstite Lagne Se Bala Samyukte Bahu Bhagya Yuto Bhavet. Okay, so he is saying Atha Bhagya Bhavam Vipra Phalam Vakshe Tavagratah. In front of you, I am going to tell the results of the 9th house. So, Brahmin, please listen to me. Actually, he didn't say please listen to me. He just said, I am going to give the result. Sabalo bhagya pe bhagye, sabalo bhagya pe bhagye, jato bhagya yuto bhavet. Okay. Bhagya pe bhagye means, in the 9th Lord, Bhagyapa means the one who rules the Bhagya, 9th house. So, Bhagya pe bhagye means 9th Lord in the 9th house. Sabalo. Actually, there should be Sabale, not Sabalo. If it's Sabalo, I can't really make any sense of it, because it's in Prathama Vibhakti. Bhagya pe is in the Saptami Vibhakti. So, it is probably Sabale. With Sabalo, there is no other tenable meaning. So, I will just correct it as Sabale. So, Sabale Bhagya pe bhagye. So, if the 9th Lord is in the 9th house with strength, Bhagya Yuto Bhavet, then he will be fortunate. So all we are saying is 9th Lord should be in the 9th house and he should be strong. That's it. Then the person will be fortunate. Bhagyasthanagate jive yadi se kendra sanstite. Bhagyasthanagate jive yadi se kendra sanstite. And whether actually he didn't say and or are. The other condition is, if Jupiter is in the 9th house, यदि से केंद्र संस्थे, यदि means if he say the Lord, which Lord? Must be 9th Lord. केंद्र संस्थे in a quadrant. लग्ने से बल संयुक्ते बहुभाग्य युतो भवेत्. So this is the second combination. If Jupiter is in the 9th house, and if the Lord of the 9th house is in a quadrant, and the Lagna Lord is strong, then also he will have multiple fortunes, different kind of fortunes. Okay, so now we are not talking about 9th house. We are talking about the Lagna Lord being strong and 9th Lord simply being in a quadrant, while Jupiter is in 9th house. So this is also a combination for great fortune. Ninth Lord in ninth house with strength. Strength can mean lot of things. It can mean being in one side. Of course, he's in one side. Maybe good planets are aspecting him, or other benefits are aspecting him, or associating with him. And he is not like combust or something. The next one is Bhagye se bala samyukte bhagye bhrugu samanvite Lagnat kendra kate jive pita bhagya samanvitah. Bhagye se bala samyukte. If the ninth lord is strong, Bhagye bhrugu samanvite. If the ninth house contains Venus, Lagnat kendra kate jive, and Jupiter is in a quadrant. Pita bhagya samanvitah. The person's father is fortunate, which means the person is also fortunate. If your father is fortunate, you are also fortunate, which basically means your father is fortunate and you get lot from your father. The next one is
How to remember these things when you are looking at the chart? Because
we may not be, see, the thing is,
here,
we may not be looking for these specific combinations, but when you are looking at the chart, if you see ninth lord in a quadrant or ninth lord strong,
now we go to that extent. But
yeah,
the specific combinations like this, so many charts we did, we never considered any.
we don't. It was very difficult, very very difficult. Moreover, there are all kinds of clouds. Is it really only for Rasi chart? Because he said, for Bhagya, what is the chart Parasara said you should see when he gave the divisional chart? No. Chaturthamsa. Chaturthamsa for Bhagya, that is what Parasara said. If you go back to the first chapter, you will see. So is it, and of course ninth house, Bhagya is ninth house and D9 is ninth house seat. So it could be D9 also. So is he talking about Rasi, Navamsa, D4? So it's not really like you are going to look at this combination. If you find somebody with Venus in the ninth house, Lagna Lord being strong and Jupiter being in a quadrant, you will say, okay, your father is a rich man. It's very, it will be, in my judgment, it will be a little prudent to say that. Because he also said D12 for father. So without looking at D12, he also said ninth house shows father and ninth from sun shows father. So just looking at this thumb rule and making a reading is actually quite imprudent. So there is no real need to remember all these combinations if you ask me, because they don't work anyway as they are. But the idea is to understand the philosophy. For example, Jupiter in the ninth house is good, ninth lord in the ninth house is good, Venus in the ninth house is good. Why? Because they are all, ninth lord in the ninth is of course good, Jupiter and Venus are benefics. But in the case of Venus in the ninth house, he is talking about father being rich. Why? Well, in either case, the person is fortunate, but Venus is a Rajasic planet compared to Jupiter, who is a Sattvic planet. Venus is a Rajasic planet. When he is associated with the ninth house, he is basically talking about fortune that comes in a Rajasic way. So you basically get it from your father or get it from a fatherly figure. So like that, understand the philosophy, understand the fundamentals and understand the thinking style. You don't have to remember. Interestingly, he hasn't mentioned sun so far. But don't you think sun would be important if you were to look for fortune from father? Absolutely. But Jupiter and Venus are the Karakas. They are important Karakas. And suppose these were reversed. Jupiter was in the ninth house and Venus was in a quadrant. Would it still be good for fortune? Yeah, absolutely. Both are actually good for fortune. Both the planets. Okay. Bhagyasthanat vidiyeva sukhe bhauma samanvite भाग्यस्थानाद् द्वितीयेव सुखे भौम समन्विते भाग्ये से नीच राशिस्थे पिता निर्धन एव हि. Okay, भाग्यस्थानाद् द्वितीयेव सुखे भौम समन्विते. From the ninth house, either the second or fourth contains Bhauma. Who is Bhauma? Mars. Bhagye he Nicha Rasisthe. And the ninth lord is debilitated. Then father will be poor. Nirdhana means moneyless, penniless. So ninth lord being in debility, we understand. Shows some kind of ill result relating to father. Why Mars in the second and fourth from ninth house? Yeah. Okay. This is a malefic, natural malefic. Second house is the house of, apart from Maraka, because he is not saying father will not live for a long time. He is saying his father will be poor. So look at the house of money. Second house is the house of money also, not just the house of Marakatva. So basically he is saying take the second house from ninth house. Why fourth house then? If second house shows money, wealth, accumulated wealth, amassed wealth, what is fourth house? Property. So somebody may not have a big bank balance, but he may have many acres of land or many houses. That is also like a measure of wealth. So basically the lesson here is to see somebody wealthy, how wealthy somebody is. The two important houses are 2 and 4. The movable property and immovable property. Simply, second house is the movable properties, movable wealth, and fourth house is immovable wealth, like land, etc. So he said Mars. Why only Mars? Why not Saturn? So do you think Saturn could give the same result? He is a planet of depletion. Right. Why it should be bad? Right. So he didn't look at Karakatva as a factor at all. He just looked at a malefic being in the two controlling houses of father's wealth. So the lesson to take here is one lesson. Second and fourth from ninth house are important for father's wealth. And second thing is, he is just talking about malefics here. Mars is being mentioned as an example of a malefic. Saturn will also probably give the same result. As a matter of fact, for me, yeah, Rahu Ketu in those houses. So bottom line is, look at the influences, occupants and aspectors on the second and fourth from ninth house. Simple. That is basically the bottom line.
Why we listen to fathers in the sun's chart?
Because sometimes we don't have the father's chart. We want to give some readings about father from the sun's chart.
It's not the true chart of the father, right?
No, that's not. That's not the true chart of the father. But the thing is, if sun's chart has bad indications, then
so the birth of the sun, then that's when they look at it.
See, after, for example, after the birth of that child, father may suffer from poverty, father's wealth may suffer. That is one possibility. And the other possibility is this may be there in father's chart also. Sun's chart may just be showing it again. But the thing is, if I want to make a prediction about a person, I can look at their chart or the chart of somebody close to them.
Right.
Of course, if you have the chart of the person itself, you can be more sure. Things can be clearer. But it is possible to look at the chart of sun also and say.
So this chapter being a Bhagyasthana is based on the ninth house.
That's why we are looking at father, absolutely. Ninth house shows father, fortune, so many things. So he will probably cover several things that are seen from the ninth house.
Now, if you want to see the sun's Bhagya, then you see the 11th house.
If you were to see what?
See the native's Bhagya means we will see the 11th house.
No, ninth house only. Ninth house is native's Bhagya. Ninth house is the Bhagyasthana.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right.
But if you were to see the wealth of the native, you would be looking at the second house of the native, fourth house, second house of the native. Here you are looking at the wealth of the father, that is why you are looking at second and fourth from the ninth house. Bottom line is, forget second and fourth. Various houses can be taken from the ninth house to infer things relating to father. That is the lesson here, because this is a chapter on ninth house. He is talking about taking ninth house as a reference and seeing things about father. Okay. Now the next verse, verse 5. Bhagye se paramochyasthe bhagyan se jiva samyute lagna chatushtaye shukre tatpita dirghajivanah bhagye se paramochyasthe. If the ninth lord is deeply exaltation, in deep exaltation, he is deeply exalted, which is not just being in the exaltation sign, but being in the degree which is mentioned in the classics as the deep exaltation degree. Bhagyam se jiva samyute. So bhagye se paramochasthe, bhagyam se jiva samyute. Bhagyamsha means the amsha of the bhagya. Most probably it is navamsha. But because he mentioned that chaturthamsha should be seen for bhagya, it could also mean chaturthamsha. I am not 100% sure. But he translates as navamsha probably. Yeah, Jupiter is in the ninth from navamsha ascendant. So he is translating as navamsha, probably navamsha, but keep your mind open to the possibility of chaturthamsha being bhagyamsha. Bhagyamsha can mean the amsha shown by the house corresponding to bhagya, which is ninth house, so navamsha, or the amsha in which you see bhagya, which is chaturthamsha, according to Parasara's previous instruction. So anyway, the rule is, if the ninth lord is deeply exalted and bhagyan se jiva samyute, and the bhagyam se jiva samyute lagna chatushtaye shukre tatpita dirghajivanah. Bhagyam se jiva samyute, what does it mean? This is weird. What does he translate as? Deep exaltation while Venus is an angle from ascendant. Actually, Chatushtaya is not really angle. And Jupiter is in the ninth from Navamsha ascendant. So he is talking about, he is taking it as Bhagyamsha literally means in the Amsha of Bhagya. Okay, so he is interpreting, okay, my interpretation earlier actually doesn't make sense. So it's not Chaturthamsha. Bhagya here means a house. So Bhagya Amsha means the division of the ninth house. He is not talking about the divisional chart of fortune. He is talking about the division of the ninth house. So you are talking about the ninth house in the Amsha. The Amsha of the ninth house. So I think Santanam's translation makes sense. So we are talking about the ninth house in Navamsha. Of course, again, it's not necessary that it is Navamsha. He just said Amsha. Uchamsha he did not say. Bhagyamsha here is not the description of the Amsha. The Bhagya is the description of the house to see in the Amsha. So he just said Amsha. So ninth house in the Amsha has Jupiter. So it could be Chaturthamsha or it could be Navamsha, but the ninth house should contain Jupiter. Okay. So ninth lord is deeply exalted and ninth house contains Jupiter. Lagna Chatushtaye Shukre. Lagna Chatushtaye means the four houses of Lagna. It probably means the Kendras. So Venus is in one of the Kendras. Then Tatpita Dirghajivanaha. Then the person's father is long lived. The father is long lived. Now this actually brings another point into contention. Because he is talking about the longevity of the father here, not about the fortune of the native or the father, the longevity of the father. We are focused on the father. And what is the chart where you see mother and father according to Parasara's previous instruction? Dvadashamsa. So for all you know, this Bhagyan se Jeva Samyute could refer to Dvadashamsa. So my take is Jupiter being in the ninth house in Dvadashamsa. So basically, the ninth lord of the Rasi is deeply exalted. And the ninth house in Dvadashamsa is strong. Either Jupiter is there or otherwise strong. And Kendras contain Venus. Then the father will be long lived. Bhagye se Kendra bhavasthe भाग्ये से केन्द्र भावस्थे गुरुना च निरीक्षिते तत्पिता वाहनैर्युक्तो राजा वा तत्समो भवेत्. That's an exaggeration. Bhagye se kendra bhavasthe. If the ninth lord is in a quadrant, Guruna cha nirikshite means he is aspected by Jupiter. So ninth lord is in a kendra and Jupiter is aspecting him. Tatpita vahanayukto raja cha tatsamo bhavet. His father is, he has a lot of vehicles, he is equivalent to a king. That is what the principle says. And the criterion is very simple. Ninth lord in a quadrant aspected by Jupiter. It's a very simple condition. So you will see it in a lot of charts. So take this with a pinch of salt. But it's in general good. If Jupiter is, if the ninth lord is in a quadrant, it's good for ninth house. If Jupiter is aspecting, it's good for ninth house. But it's not necessarily father. It may show just being fortunate. Right? So for good results relating to father, if you see this combination in Rashi as well as Dvadashamsa, if Dvadashamsa 9th house is also fortified, then you can conclude about father. The next is Bhagye se karma bhavasthe karme se bhagya rashige. Bhagye se karma bhavasthe karme se bhagya rashige. Shubhadrushte dhanadhyascha kirti mas tatpita bhavet. Okay. If the ninth lord is in 10th house and 10th lord is in 9th house and aspected by benefics, then the father will have lot of money and he will be very famous. Okay. So he is basically talking about dharma karma sati yoga. Dharma lord and karma lord have a parivartana. It's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily show father being famous or rich. It shows the person doing lot of good deeds. So the thing is very likely this has to be interpreted in the Dvadashamsa. Just because you see 9th lord and 10th lord exchanging in Rashi, you can't and some benefic planets aspecting them, you can't conclude that his father will be very successful. If you see that in Dvadashamsa, you can think that father will be successful. Otherwise, it can just mean that the person will do lot of dharmic activities, lot of good karma. Paramocchamse ge surye bhagye se labha samsthite dharmishtho nrupavatsalyah pitrubhakto nruhavennarah. Okay, so the next combination is Paramocchamse ge surye. If sun is in deep exaltation, bhagye se labha samsthite, and the ninth lord is in 11th house of gains. Dharmishtho nrupavatsalyah pitrubhakto bhavennarah. Dharmishtho means a dharmic person, a virtuous person, a righteous person. Dharmishtho nrupavatsalyah means somebody who is dear to the king. Pitrubhakto bhavennarah, and he will be devoted to his father. So such a person, he will be very dharmic, attached to father, and kings will like him, which means basically he will be respected. He will have a stature in the world. So what is the combination for it? Sun should be in deep exaltation. Sun shows father, he is a karaka for father, and the relation with father as well as recognition from kings, etc. So sun being in deep exaltation can show both the good results. And bhagya se labha samsthite. Bhagya is 9th house. 9th lord is in 11th house, meaning 11th house is also the house of friend. So if 9th lord is in 11th house, friendly to father. And also a lot of gains. The next combination is Lagna Trikona Ge Surye. Lagna Trikona Ge Surye Bhagye Se Saptamasthite Guruna Sahite Drushte Pitrubhakti Samanvitah. Lagna Trikona Ge Surye. Sun is in a trine from Lagna. Bhagye Se Saptamasthite. The 9th lord is in the 7th house. Guruna Sahite Drushte. And he is either together with Jupiter or aspected by Jupiter. So 9th lord is in the 7th house either with Jupiter or aspected by Jupiter. And sun is, and Lagna, sun is in a trine from Lagna. So these are the combinations, and the result is Pitrubhakti Samanvitah, means he will be devoted to father. He will obey his father. He will be an obedient son. So what are the main criteria? If the ninth lord is in 7th house, just like the previous verse where ninth lord is in the 11th house, ninth lord being in the 11th house shows being friendly to father. And ninth lord being in the 7th house, again he is in a quadrant, he is strong. Apart from it, 7th house is the house of interactions. So he interacts a lot with the father. So father is like a friend. 7th and 11th are the houses of friend. So he is very friendly with father. That is what that combination means. And Guruna Sahite. If Guru is also there, Guru is again a benefit. So it is auspicious. If he is there or aspecting. The other combination is Sun is in a trine. Sun is the Karka of a father. So if he is in a trine, the relation with father is very auspicious. What if it wasn't quadrant, if it wasn't trine, but if it was a quadrant? Still that is good. So if Sun is in a trine or quadrant, it is good for relations with father. So bottom line is you have to look at Sun where he is, and you have to look at the ninth lord where he is, who is influencing them. And of course the occupants of the ninth house also. भाग्ये से धन भावस्थे धने से भाग्य राशिगे भाग्ये से धन भावस्थे धने से भाग्य राशिगे द्वात्रिंशात् परतो भाग्यम वाहनम किञ्चित् संभवः भाग्ये से धन भावस्थे means ninth lord in the 2nd house, dhane se bhagya rashike, and the 2nd lord is in the 9th house. So 2nd and 9th lords have a parivartana. Dvatrinshat parato bhagyam. After 32nd year, there will be fortune. Vahanam kiti sambhavaha. And also vehicles and wealth. So the person will have fortune, vehicles and wealth after 32nd year if 2nd and 9th lords are exchanging. Like always, we can't really crack why 32nd year. We don't really know. But 2nd lord and 9th lord having a parivartana is obviously a good combination for success early in life and being very fortunate and making a lot of money. लग्ने से भाग्य राशिस्थे षष्ठे शेन समन्विते लग्ने से भाग्य राशिस्थे षष्ठे शेन समन्विते अन्योन्यवैरं ब्रुवते जनकः कुत्सितो भवेत्. Okay. If the Lagna Lord is in the 9th house, Lagna Lord is in the 9th house with the 6th Lord. So basically, Lagna Lord in 9th house is okay for being attached to father, but 6th Lord of fights also is there, quarrels. Anyonya Vairam Bruvate, that means they don't like each other. They hate each other. Janaka Kutsito Bhavet, and also father will be a little cruel. Father will not be straightforward. So the lesson here is, if the 6th Lord, 8th Lord, that kind of Sthana Lords are associating with the 9th house or 9th Lord, it can show bad things. The next combination is Karmadhipena Sahito Vikrameshopi Karmadhipena Sahito Vikrameshopi Nirbalaha Bhagyapo Nija Modhastho Yogo Bhikshasana Pradaha Karmadhipena Sahito Vikrameshopi Nirbalaha Bhagyapo Nija Modhasto Yogo Bhikshasana Pradaha. Okay. Karmadhipena Sahito with the 10th Lord. Who? It comes in the next verb. Bhagyapo means 9th Lord. If the 9th Lord is Nicha Modhastho, means either combust or debilitated. 9th Lord is debilitated or combust, and he is with the 10th Lord. Vikrameshopi, Kamadhipena Sahito, Vikrameshopi Nirbalaha. And the 3rd Lord is also very weak. Then the person will live by begging. Okay. So the combination is 3rd Lord should be weak and 10th Lord should combine with the 9th Lord. Karmadhipena Sahito Vikramesho. One second. Karmadhipena Sahitah Vikramesha Api Durbalaha. Api. Why Api? Api means, okay, so 10th Lord is also weak. So actually there are two interpretations here. If the 10th Lord is with the 3rd Lord and both of them are weak, and 9th Lord is either combust or debilitated, then the person will live by begging. That is one interpretation. Karmadhipena Sahitah Vikrameshopi Nirbalaha. So that is one interpretation. So 10th Lord and 3rd Lord are together and both of them are weak. Because he didn't say actually 10th lord being weak, but he said 3rd lord is also weak, which implies that 10th lord was to be weak. So 10th and 3rd lords together and both weak, and in addition 9th lord in debility or combustion. Then the person will live by begging, which means he doesn't have much money. His livelihood is very, very poor. We'll do. I was actually planning to stop here only. So I'll stop. It was timely. So we'll restart the recording. So we'll continue. So we are going to see a marriage compatibility. The data is the girls data is 1982 December 11, 4 o'clock AM, 4 AM, 5 hours 30 minutes east of GMT, and again Secunderabad, 78 degrees 30 minutes east, 17 degrees 27 minutes north. And the boys chart is 1979 April 13, 10:30 AM, 5 hours 30 minutes east of GMT, and the place is Warangal, India, 79 degrees 35 minutes east, 18 degrees north. So we want to see the compatibility between these two, and Seshu was trying to see it earlier. So what he did was, I'm just looking at Seshu's notes. So first he wanted to see the affliction to the 7th house and 8th house, and the possibility of widowhood, and similarity of longevity. So that's something that he is basically doing. And girl's chart, Lagna with 7th lord exalted Mars in 4th house, in 2nd house from Karaka, Venus and UL. Okay, I'll just ignore that. We'll come back to your notes again. But you were talking about a BV Raman point. So you are talking about Tara basically.
Tara from
Yeah.
Nakshatra,
Yeah.
below 7,000, then he has got getting problems. So they were suggested
Below what?
if it is in the 2nd house. Second house from the
What house? How are you computing these houses? Can you elaborate?
not 2nd house, but it is the 2nd house. 2nd house from the nakshatra. If nakshatra happens to be in say Taurus,
Yeah.
then
Not nakshatra, then you are talking about moon sign.
talking about the moon sign.
Right.
Moon
Okay.
sign
So you are counting houses from the moon sign.
from
The
the moon sign.
yeah.
So if it is 2nd house, it could
Shuddhvasa basically. Yeah.
Shuddhvasa, it is not good. If it is 4th house, it's not good for comfort and things like that. So he suggested it beyond 7th is what you should generally consider. So coming from those principles, I felt this is not a suitable chart.
Okay. See, if you ask me, that principle is just
It's
you don't have to really pay a lot of attention to that particular principle that you saw. What you normally do is you see whether the moon signs are mutual shashtastakas or dvadasas or they are mutual quadrants and trines from each other. If they are mutually quadrants or trines, it's a good relationship. Whereas if they are 6th and 8th from each other, the moon signs, then the mentalities may be at odds, at loggerheads. Here, both of them have the same moon sign. So that is one criteria. The other criterion is the Tara that you mentioned earlier. You see which Tara the girl is for the boy and which Tara the boy is for the girl. Usually, if one is good, the other is not good anyway. But that is one thing that traditionally people check. And unless both are good, people usually, some traditional people don't approve the marriage. Here, why font? I'm confused. Okay, anyway.
But
So,
also, if they are in the same
Chitra.
sign,
Pardon me? Yeah.
even if they are in the same sign but different nakshatras,
Yeah.
it's still okay.
If they are in same sign in different nakshatras, it is okay. But the only problem with that will be their Saturn problems will be coming at the same time.
Same time.
All the transits, good and bad, will be coming at the same time. That's the only drawback.
Good too.
It's good in a way, but it's also bad. Otherwise, one can basically give support to the other. But one is Chitra, one is Swati. So from Chitra, Swati is from the girl, boy is from Chitra, Swati is the 2nd nakshatra. So boy is Sampattara. For the boy, the girl is Paramamitra Tara. So both the ways, the Tara wise, if you look at Tara, they are fine. If you look at the moon signs, they are fine. And how are the Lagnas? You can see Lagnas being Durdvasas or Sashtastakas or being in mutual quadrants or trines. And the Lagna, the girl's Lagna is in Libra, the boy's Lagna is in Gemini. So they are mutual trines. So Lagnas are also compatible, moons are compatible, nakshatras are compatible. Now the other thing that we do at SJC is, you see the Upvada. the upada of the girl of the boy is in upada is in Leo. So the girl's lagna has to do with upada. It has to be a trine or something. Now the thing is, check whether the girl's lagna has to be, ideally, for an ideal marriage, the girl's lagna has to be 7th or trine from the upada of the boy and vice versa. So here, if you take UL, girl's lagna Libra is not a trine or 7th house. But the thing is, there is a strong Venus in 7th house from UL. So the girl's lagna is owned by Venus, right? And also, if you take, see, Saturn is in lagna here. The girl has moon and Saturn in lagna. Here, Saturn is in UL. So Saturn is in UL and Venus is aspecting it. And the girl has a Venus lagna with Saturn in it. So there is some correspondence between the UL of the boy and the girl's chart. Now let's do the other way around. Look at girl's UL. Is there any link between that and boy's lagna? Girl's UL is, where is it? Sagittarius. And boy's lagna is Gemini, which is the 7th house from there. Right? So he has that lagna. He has the Gemini lagna. And moreover, he has Mercury lagna lord in a quadrant. So he is a highly, strongly mercurial person. And here, UL contains Mercury. So there is a strong link between the two charts. The UL of one person and lagna of the other person and vice versa. So there is a strong link between the ULs. So that is also positive. Now, what are the other things that you can see? You can see the Venus of each person, because Venus is the harmony, the emotional harmony of the person. Moon is the mental state and Venus is the emotional harmony. And also love and romance. So Venus, see the mutual placements of Venus. He has Venus in Kumbha, Aquarius, and she has in Sagittarius. So both the Venuses are mutual 311 positions, which is good. 311 positions are basically mutually upachayas, increasing. Upachayas increase. 3rd house, 6th house, 10th house and 11th house have an increasing influence. So her Venus increases his Venus increases her Venus. So her love and romantic feeling will increase his romantic and love feeling, and vice versa. So there will be a good romance between them. So that is also Venus compatibility is there, Moon compatibility is there, Lagna compatibility is there, Upada is there. So things are making sense. Yes.
311 like this, and then when the Kutas say something.
No, we'll come to that also. So this is basically the generally looking at the houses, the Lagna, Moon and Venus. Now look at the Kuta. So what did you find there?
And the widowhood of the person, will see
Pardon me?
longevity and widowhood of the person.
Yeah, right. You definitely have to see that. First of all, see the longevity. What is the approximate longevity of this lady? How long she may live? Let's just use the 3 parts rule, just for a rough idea. Is she short-lived or long-lived? What are the rules? What are the things that you see? Do you remember? 3 parts rule?
Alpa, Madhya, Dirgha.
Wow. You check Lagna and Hora Lagna. Lagna Lord and 8th Lord is one pair. Hora Lord. Moon and Saturn. Lagna and Hora Lagna. Lagna and Hora Lagna.
Moon and Saturn.
Yeah. That's it. Lagna Lord, 8th Lord, Moon and Saturn, Lagna and Hora Lagna. So here, let's look at Lagna Lord Venus. Where is he? Lagna Lord as well as 8th Lord is Venus. He is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is, pardon me?
And he's aspecting Hora.
Forget, we are not doing all that. You are confused. We are not looking at aspects here. What we see in the 3 parts rule is, we take 2 planets, right? I'll refresh your memory. I never taught you? Really? Okay, I'll teach you now. See, you get a pair. and from the pair you judge long life or middle life or short life. And the way you do it is, if a planet is in a mobile sign, it shows long life. Mobile sign, long life.
Both the planets, you have to get both the planets.
For one planet, I am telling you now. For one planet, if it is in mobile sign, that planet shows long life. If the planet is in a fixed sign, it shows short life. Fixed sign is short life. And dual sign is middle life. Okay? Long, short and middle. You got it? Long, short and middle for mobile, fixed and dual. Now, in each pair, take both the planets. If both are in a same kind of sign, give that reading. Suppose both are in mobile, then long life. Both are in fixed, short life. Both are in dual, middle life. But suppose one is in one kind, the other planet is in the other kind. Then, take the third one. It's like I am saying, no, you should take this. She says, no, you should take this. Then the third person wins. Okay? So, if both the planets are in a same kind of sign, go by that sign. If they are in two different kinds of sign, go by the third one, which is absent. Okay? So, look at what kind of life is shown by that sign, long life or middle life or short life. So, that is the life indicated by that pair. So, like that, do for the three pairs. Whichever is majority wins.
So the three pairs are Lagna Lord, 8th Lord is one pair, Moon and Saturn is another pair,
Yeah.
Lagna and Hora Lagna is another.
Right. So, and if there is a tie, like one is short, one is middle, if there are two short, one middle, it is short. Two middle, one long, it is middle. Two long, one short, it is long, and so on. But if it is one long, one middle, one short, which is possible, then the rule is, if what you do is, if Moon or Saturn are in Lagna or 7th house, you go by their pair. If either Moon or Saturn is in 7th house, you go by their pair. Otherwise, you go by Lagna, Hora Lagna. That is the final determinant. Okay? So, this is the rule. So, we'll do.
If tie, you said take. If tie.
If there is a tie, the tie meaning one long, one middle, one short, take the longevity shown by the pair of Moon and Saturn, given that they are in Lagna or 7th house. If Moon or Saturn is in Lagna or 7th house, go by their pair. Give priority to their pair. Whatever their pair shows, that is the longevity. Suppose that is not the case, then Lagna and Hora Lagna pair is given priority. So, what do you see here? First, Lagna Lord and 8th Lord, both are Venus, right? And he is in Sagittarius, dual sign, means middle life. Both in the same sign, meaning the result is given by that sign itself. So, Lagna Lord and Hora Lord pair, Lagna Lord and 8th Lord pair gives middle life. Now, Moon and Saturn. Where is Moon and where is Saturn? Both are in Lagna, which is a mobile sign. So, long life. So, one middle life, one long life. And Lagna and Hora Lagna. Lagna is in Libra, Hora Lagna is in Virgo. They are in different kinds. So, the one that is left over is fixed sign. One is mobile, one is dual. So, fixed is left over, and that shows short life. So, Lagna and Hora Lagna shows short life. Not Lord, just Lagna and Hora Lagna. The first one was Lagna Lord and 8th Lord. The second is Moon and Saturn. The third is Lagna and Hora Lagna themselves. Lagna is in mobile sign, Hora Lagna is in dual sign. So, the leftover is fixed sign, and fixed sign shows short life. So, Lagna, Hora Lagna pair shows short life.
There's a long, middle and
There is a middle, there is a long, there is a short. So, which one wins? Moon and Saturn are in Lagna. So, that wins. And what do they show?
Long.
Long life. So, this is a chart of long life. Of course, there are some Kakshya Rasas, some increases, some decreases, etc. But the ballpark is, she is basically a long-lived person. Something like 60, 70 years. Long life technically means more than 72, but at least 60 years, let us say. So, that is the conclusion about the girl. And also, if you look quickly at the Vimshottari Dasha, are there any Marka Dashas coming up now? She is running Jupiter Dasha now. He is in the second house, but he is the third lord and sixth lord. This is potentially a Marka Dasha. Saturn, Mercury, Ketu is the Marka.
Second one.
Second lord. Second lord in the third house.
The Ketu is more a marker than the Jupiter, right?
I would say so. So probably it will be Ketu Dasha. So she has quite a lot of life. 20. When was she born? 82. So 82. So 18 years plus 53. So approximately 70 plus years, which is what we got based on the 3 parts rule. So she has a long life. How about her match? How is his longevity? Lagna Lord is, who is Lagna Lord? Mercury. Who's the 8th Lord? Saturn. Mercury and Saturn. Mercury is in dual sign, Saturn is in fixed sign. So what is the leftover? They are different. So leftover is mobile sign. So long life. So Lagna Lord, 8th Lord show long life. Now Moon and Saturn. Where is Saturn? Moon is in Libra, Saturn is in Leo. The leftover is dual sign. So middle life. One long life, one middle life. And finally, what is Lagna and Hora Lagna showing? Where is Hora Lagna? Hora Lagna is in Leo, Lagna is in Gemini. So one dual sign, one fixed sign. So leftover is mobile sign. So long life. So Lagna Hora Lagna pair is also showing long life. So 2 long lives, one middle life. So overall, what do you say? Long life. So both are long life charts. Both have 70 plus kind of longevity. The thing is, if you know that the bridegroom is going to die in another 5 years or 10 years and the girl is going to live for 30 years or vice versa, then you should think before you basically say, okay, go ahead, get married. At least you should indicate that there is a difference in the longevity. So that is one thing. Pardon me? Hora Lagna shows, is supposed to show the wealth. But actually, what Hora Lagna really shows is, it shows the sustenance of the person. It shows how the person is sustained. All the wealth of the person is basically for sustaining the person, to enrich his being. Right? And death is basically robbing one of one's sustenance. Robbing the body of his sustenance. As a matter of fact, second house is the house of food, as well as second house is the house of death. Removal of the food, removal of the sustenance, so that the person dies. And Hora Lagna is based on the second house seed.
End of the Lagna.
For me?
End of the Lagna.
End of the Lagna. Okay.
And the widowhood, just in case if there is a likelihood. Yeah, that's longevity, right?
Yeah. Longevity we saw. Well, widowhood also you can see. Are there any combinations of widowhood?
It should show up in the longevity, like if one person dies.
Well, if one chart is showing possibility of widowhood, maybe they won't marry. Both are showing long life. But the thing is, if the girl's chart, for example, has a combination for widowhood, probably she, even if you suggest this combination, this match, she will probably not marry this guy. She will marry somebody else and be a widow. So seeing both the charts is different from seeing the combinations of widowhood. But the thing is, we don't anyway know a lot of combinations for widowhood. We haven't really studied it that much. There are some combinations given in classics. But the thing is, simple stuff like look at the 7th house in Navamsha and Rasi, how strong they are. If you look at the 7th house in Rasi, his Lord is exalted, even though he is in 4th house, he is exalted. If you look at Navamsha, the 7th Lord Mercury is in the 3rd house with 3rd Lord Venus. In a friendly sign, he is quite strong. So it doesn't really show the possibility of being a widow, etc. She has a reasonable marital life, a successful marital life. So both the charts are fine. Both are long-lived people, and there is a pretty good chance of pretty good matching. Now the thing is, there are gunankas.
And one more thing.
Yes.
The Mangalik,
Yeah.
the Mars in 4th house,
Yeah.
is exalted Mars. 7th Lord.
But if Mars is exalted, then it's not. If Mars is exalted or in one house, it's not considered to be Mangalik. Yeah.
Should we see only in Rasi for that, or
It is typically seen in Rasi only. Right. So we don't have a problem there. The only problem now is the traditional stuff. The you have done here the yoni, all the kotas basically, yoni kotam, rasi kotam, graha kotam. So yoni kota, one is buffalo, one is tiger, so that is not good. Rashi kota is acceptable, graha kota, graha maitri is acceptable. Well, it's the same graha anyway. Rajju acceptable. Then Vedha acceptable, Varna acceptable, Nadi, girl is, the Nadi is also acceptable, Dina acceptable. So you did all the quota matching.
But I didn't know how to assign points.
So one is, yeah, the thing is, you won't get a perfect match, everything basically matching. So if most of the things are basically fine.
Because they are all given in terms of points like 4, 5, 3, 2 and then added up something in that. But I didn't know how to get the points, but at least the combinations indicate they are acceptable or not.
Overall, most of the things seems to be fine, except that the Gana, the girl is Rakshasa Gana and the boy is Deva Gana. So Gana matching is not there and Yoni matching is not there.
So when Yoni matching is not there and the Venus and is in a 311,
right,
which do you give preference to?
I would give preference to this rather than, because the Yoni matching is seen simply from moon, the traditional Yoni matching, and that is supposed to basically show the compatibility between the people physically. But the thing is, further Lagna more than moon, the Lagna Venus also play a role. So it's just one factor. I would suggest not putting too much emphasis on it. So, and Gana is basically what kind of intelligence the person has, the intelligence of a Rakshasa or the intelligence of a Deva. Further, we can do the Pakalagnas. We haven't done Pakalagnas. The boy's Pakalagna is in Pisces with Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars and Sun. So very analytical and very logical. That is the kind of intelligence of the person. And the girl's Pakalagna, how is it? Girl's Pakalagna is again in Sagittarius, another sign owned by Jupiter, and Mercury, Ketu and Venus are there. Again, Mercury is there in both the signs, and it shows basically intelligent kind of temperament, kind of disposition. So there is some commonality between their personality, their intelligence. So Pakalagna is also fine. So my take is, I won't really worry too much about this. But the thing is, these are all consolidated, and there is a table based on the nakshatra, based on the nakshatra of the bride and the nakshatra of the bridegroom. There is a number that you end up with out of 36 or something. Right. So if that number is like too low, like 13, 15, 17, like that, you should think twice before you approve it. You should look at the rest of the horoscope to consult the rest of the horoscope, and only if you are confident you should give a go ahead. But if that number is like 20s or 30s, then you should be confident. And based on what you have given here, I can't do the math. I have a book I have a Panchangam that I refer to when I do matches, which is at my home. I didn't bring it. Maybe next week I'll make copies and give those copies to you. So my feeling is, if you do all the adding up of the numbers, if you do the actual numbers, they will probably be in 20s, upper 20s or so. That is my guess. So it's probably a good match. And other factors that we have seen also suggest good matching. So probably my guess is it's a good match. So I don't see any. Pardon me?
Below I wrote down what I thought was.
Okay. What did you see?
At the end I said it's not a good match because of whatever.
Yeah. One is Kujudosham, but again,
Kujudosham is not there when he is exalted.
right, when he is exalted. So what are the other factors? You are saying Venus, Mars is in the second house from Venus, so there is Kujudosham. But the thing is, he also has Mars in the second house from Venus. See, the thing is, both of them have Mars in the second house from Venus.
So that's okay.
Both of them have Mars in a quadrant. And the thing is, for her, Mars is exalted. For him, Mars is not exalted, but he is in a friendly sign. And Jupiter is exalted, his disposition is exalted and he is aspecting them. So that basically protects Mars. So I will not really worry too much about this Kujudosham. This Mangalik or Kujudosham is so exaggerated that these guys were saying, oh, so and so actress is Mangalik, So whoever she marries, her father-in-law will die. There was this rumor about Aishwarya Rai, Amitabh Bachchan, about Aishwarya Rai being Manglik. They went to so many temples, did so many pujas. She got married to a banana tree. See, the thing is, if there are serious doshas in Navamsha and Rasi, doing those remedies makes sense. But just on account of somebody being Manglik, doing all that is utter nonsense. Manglik and Kujadosham are unfortunately extremely overrated things. And people don't even fully understand or appreciate what is involved. Bottom line of being a Manglik is somebody who is very stubborn. If a person is stubborn, then the person will cause or has the curse of Mars, then the person can bring misfortune and the person can be quarrelsome. But what I see is there is a same level of affliction to Mars in both the cases, and the same level of redemption also in both the cases. So it's perfect from that point of view. I wouldn't worry about the Kujadosham. And then you suggest some fasting. Yeah, you wrote something at the end.
Right.
So take the UL and suggest a fasting. Yeah. Yeah, the only thing you should be concerned about is, in the case of boy, in the case of the chart of the boy, the 8th from UL is quite strong. Sun, Mars and Mercury are in the 8th from UL. So there will be some force to break the marriage. So that's the only concern. It can be that also, absolutely. So out of the planets there, Mars is from UL, Mars is the protector, 9th lord, and Sun is the UL lord himself. So those two are protectors. But Mercury is the Marka. He is a malefic from UL, and he is the second lord of Marka from UL. So he is the only concern. Sun and Mars are fine. So the thing is, that's the only concern. There may be some forces, especially when Mercury Dasha runs after 2032. There can be some forces which are trying to break the marriage. There may be some dissatisfaction, etc. But overall, my feeling is this is a good match and they can go ahead. So that is my final judgment.
So if you propitiate Mercury, then it
Yes.
that's
You
way to
propitiate
cancel
Mercury.
rest of the
Fast, the boy, he should fast on Sundays and propitiate Mercury.
Sundays because of this.
Yeah, you probably anyway already noted it.
Boy, I didn't know.
Oh, so boy, if you can tell boy also propitiate for Mercury, who should be Mercury? Lalita Tripura Sundari. Can propitiate Tripura Sundari. Read Lalita Sahasram or Lalita Ashtotram or something like that for Lalita Devi, Lalita Tripura Sundari on Sundays. And the girl, I think you wrote Thursday here, and then Narsimha. So yeah, perfect. Yeah, of course, Mars can also be Hanuman, but if you are trying to get married, better not pray to Hanuman. Better pray to Narsimha, Lakshmi Narsimha. That is better. So that is better. You can also pray to Subramanya. Yeah, actually Subramanya is also fine. Mars is exalted.
Especially in case of marriage, should you say Valli Devasena like that or just say Subramanya?
Subramanya is enough. If you are praying to Subramanya for marriage, that's enough. So pray to either Narsimha or Subramanya. Both are fine. Either is fine actually. So do that and hopefully good luck. Yeah, Guru Dasha is running, so Dasha is auspicious. It's just a matter of getting the right Antardasha. The Dasha is already favorable.
Time is sometime in
Even Mercury Antardasha is very favorable. So time has come. Time is,
here, but I also
yeah.
noticed some most probable timing.
Okay. So look at Tithi Pravesh and do all the standard analysis. But just looking at Vimshottari, looking at Vimshottari, Jupiter Mercury is running. Lagna Lord in Navamsha, 7th Lord in Navamsha. And also he is with Venus. Mercury is with Venus. So perfect. So very soon she will be married. Before November she will be married. Time is already running. Good luck. Any other questions?
So this today I said not a compatible chart.
Okay. Very good. Yes. Yes, please.
which is good.
Yeah. What I suggest doing is, because I don't have the Gunanka table with me, we'll take it up in the next class. Unless also I want to leave strictly at 8:30 today. So we'll take it up in the next class. But if you can send me the data, if you can email everybody, not just me, just email the JHG file if you can. So we'll take it up in the next class.
You will apply the same 9 things.
Yeah, the basic things you apply, and then the last thing will be looking at the Gunankas, the number, the composite number. So that we will do from the table.
Is there anything in the software where to get those numbers?
No, I haven't programmed it.
Excel sheet I
That
sent
you
you.
gave?
It will calculate the number.
Once you feed the longitude latitude.
That is
Okay.
the
Very
Ramadra is sent out.
Namani, okay,
Request, yeah,
good, good.
request from sometime back 2005.
Very good, very good.
I think Ramesh Ganga, there is another guy.
Ganga Ramani.
Yeah, he worked on the Excel sheet and gave it to him.
Very good.
All the things are included there.
Very good, very good.
Calculator.
Very good. But the thing is, you don't need to do actually anything. If you have a lookup table, you just see which row and which column, you get the number directly. Whereas here they are doing some math. The only thing I am concerned about is there may be difference in the formulas. There may be some difference.
The formulas in Excel.
Right, right. The formula code in the Excel spreadsheet may be slightly different. There may be bug. That's the only thing I am concerned about. But that should be fine. So we'll take it up in the next class. Any other questions on this chart or any chart or in general? You don't have any questions?
I do.
Yes. Yeah. Hmm. Right. 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 See, the thing is, we are in very tricky situation here. Both are important. Both show the intelligence, perceived intelligence of the person. Like I said earlier, A5 is the tangible object showing the ability of the person, like a award or something. And both the fifth house from AL and fifth house from L1 or the Lagna Lords Arudha, both are perceived intelligence of the person. Then what is the difference? Okay. So what is Arudha Lagna and what is Arudha of the Lagna Lord? So you said it very correctly. One is the inanimate and one is the animated. So the thing is, one is basically the image of how the person, how the thinking. See, Lagna Lord is the thinking and the intelligence, all the things that is happening in the brain. So that is Lagna Lord. And how the whole thing translates in the material plane is the Lagna. So Lagna Lord is that which creates the individuality, and Lagna is that through which the individuality expresses. So Lagna is the expression of the self, and Lagna Lord is the intelligence behind that expression. So both basically rise in the material plane as Arudha Lagna as well as Arudha of the Lagna Lord. Both are images, but one is the image of the process that is going on inside the brain. How the person is seen to be thinking. So how the person is seen to be thinking is a representation of that image. That is Lagna Lord's Arudha. Whereas Lagna is the finally you are not talking about how the person is thinking inside, etc. You are just talking about how the person is conducting. Lagna is conducting and manipulating the rest of the world. Like I said earlier, moon is that through which you react to the world, that through which you perceive the world, and Lagna is that through which you act in the world, and Lagna Lord is that through which you analyze the world, think about the world. So it is Lagna Lord who drives the Lagna. So all your actions in the world, whatever I am speaking right now, the action itself is driven by the Lagna Lord, by the intelligence, but the actual action is shown by the Lagna. Okay? So is it a little clear? Lagna shows your actions in the world, and Arudha of the Lagna is an image relating to how you are acting in the world, and Arudha of the Lagna Lord is an image of how you are imagined to be thinking what you are imagined to be thinking before you do these actions. So all these actions of the person are intangible, whereas the thinking that is going behind the actions, that is a not tangible. I mean animate and inanimate. Actions are inanimate, whereas the thinking that is going inside is animate. Yeah. If the malefic is there in the third from Arudha Lagna, he is basically. Excellent question. So, what is Arudha Lagna now? I said the actions. Suppose there is a malefic in the third from Arudha Lagna, but a benefic in the third from Arudha of the Lagna Lord. What would that mean? That is her question. Very, very nice question. So, Arudha Lagna, like I said, is a manifestation of the acting self, if I may use that word, for the lack of a better word. Both Lagna and Lagna Lord are self, but Lagna is the acting self and Lagna Lord is the thinking self. Okay? So, the manifestation of the thinking self has benefic planets in the third house. So, you are seen by the world to be thinking in a positive way, thinking in a sattvic way, thinking in a very docile way. But you are seen to be acting in a strong way. So your world may think he doesn't want to do all this, but he is doing. He is not a saint. He is doing all these things. He is basically. For me? Yeah. Both are important. Both are important because. Right. See, the thing is, if you have a saint who has from L1 things are fine, but from AL things are not fine, he may actually be a saintly person, so that he is seen to be acting in a material way. But still, world may think, well, he is doing like this, but he is thinking like a saint. So both actually form the image of the person. Both are images only, but they are images of the acting self and images of the thinking self. Yeah, that is what we normally do, because those are the actions of the person. The actions of a saint have to be very sattvic, very. Yeah. A saint is not typically, of course there are exceptions, but a typical saint is not seen to be acting in a violent or forceful way. It's not even violence actually. Third and sixth are basically forceful. Malefics in third and sixth means forceful actions. So it's not seen to be acting in a forceful way. Any other questions?
Yeah, the other question is, I am getting too many discrepancies in the timing of sort of people I am looking at.
Yeah.
They believe from their childhood that they are one nakshatra, but they are not that nakshatra, they are the next one. So that way I got about 3 people.
Wow.
I don't know why that happens.
That happens sometimes.
Maybe
that happens because Lagna is on time is on a border of nakshatra chains.
Nakshatra Sandhi.
Yeah, nakshatra sandhi. So depending on the ainamsa used by their grandfather or whoever saw their chart, if the ainamsa was 2 degrees off, the nakshatra could be different. That is one possibility. Whenever I have seen this kind of discrepancies, in some cases this is the problem. In which case ignore. Irrespective of what ainamsa they believe in, we believe in Lahiri. So be confident of your calculations. That is one thing. The second possibility is actually you are on the very fine border. Like 5 minutes before the nakshatra would have changed. Then you also cannot be sure. On the other hand, the first case that I mentioned is 2 hours back the nakshatra changed. You know that it is this nakshatra, but if you use the ainamsa that is 1 degree different, it's already changed. Then bank on Lahiri. Don't question Lahiri ever. Just assume that Lahiri is correct and then do your analysis. That there is a third possibility. One second, let me finish. So 3 possibilities. One is the ainamsa changed, so they are confused. Ignore them. The second is nakshatra changed just 5 minutes from the birth time. Then question and then rectify the. Of course, you can't rectify nakshatra, but you can rectify the time based on Navamsa Lagna, Dashamsa Lagna, Siddhamsa Lagna, and then that in turn tells you the nakshatra. But what I do is, even when I do that, I can't be absolutely sure because there may be the way moon is computed, there can be some difference. the projection on the plane, there can be some difference. You can never be absolutely sure. So in that case, I will not make any reading just based on the nakshatra. I will just assume that he is in both the nakshatras. Even when I do a puja, for example, Sanjay ji, he is either Shatabhishak or Purvabhadra. So when I do a puja, I say Rathatraya Gotodbhavasya. I don't say Purvabhadra Nakshatra or Shatabhishak. I say Shatabhishak Purvabhadra Nakshatra Sandhau Kumbharasyo Meenlagne Jatasya. In my Sankalpa, in all pujas that I do, when I do Sankalpa, I take his name like that. So when you do puja also, see Nakshatra, why do you need it? For transits. But we don't really do many transits from Nakshatra. All that Saratobhadra Chakra, etc. We don't really use them in daily life. We basically look at moon sign. So if there is no controversy in moon sign, if it's only the Nakshatra that is changing, it doesn't really matter much. Mainly it matters in Saratobhadra Chakra, and secondarily, when doing a puja, you need to give your Nakshatra for Sankalpa. Better give both the Nakshatras and say you are born in the Sandhya of those Nakshatras. It is more prudent. Now, the third possibility is there is an error of 24 hours. I have seen that in many cases also. They say I was born on 27 at 2 a.m. It's Purvashada Nakshatra, but it's actually Uttarashada. So it turns out that they were using, even though they said 27 is actually 28 already came, but they still call it 27 because the old Pandit who saw the chart, he calls it 27. He changes the date at sunrise. So this midnight, basically, if you say midnight chart and you are off by one nakshatra, you should be absolutely sure. You should ask them. Even if they think you are paining them, you should ask, are you sure this is 27 gone and 28 came, or is it 26 gone and 27 came? Ask them very specifically. Even if they answer, tell them to verify with their parents or with their elders and double confirm it. Because this is a common mistake people make. Basically, the old people's paradigm was one paradigm. The paradigm of today is one paradigm for reckoning the dates and times. So there is a clash. The data is observed using one paradigm and reported using another paradigm. So you basically make a misjudgment. So this is the third thing. You should not ignore it. So these are the three possibilities.
You open this one, sir.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is.
What is it?
1C.
Okay. Is it in the history?
Yeah, it should be there.
Vamshi. Vamshi, 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 Vamshi. This is the one, right? Okay. Shravanam. Shravanam third pada, so pakka Shravanam. It's not going to change anytime soon. Okay. So what does he say? Not Shravanam. Sorry. Jashtha fourth pada. Yeah, 2 degrees off. So if somebody uses an Ainamsa that is 2 degrees off, it will change. But in terms of time, for moon to go from Jashtha to Moola, how much time is needed? It will be like 5 hours or so. 3 hours 20 minutes, which is very unlikely.
But he takes from day one as the Moola Nakshatra.
He takes, doesn't mean it is right. He takes Moola because somebody used a Panchangam which used a different Ainamsa where all the longitudes of planets are 2 degrees advanced or 3 degrees advanced. So he thinks his moon is in Moola.
So
This is 7:30 p.m. so it's not even a date confusion, most probably.
So when this person comes to me, I just use.
Yeah, tell him you are not Moola, you are Jashtha. It's 100% sure. Tell him. If you seriously say, oh, you are Moola, I thought you are Jashtha. Maybe there's some error. He will be confused. The thing is, people who come to us, they don't know much. So they judge based on the confidence that you show. See, for example, when you go to that old astrologer, when he said, oh, for him to be a chartered accountant, moon, Mercury has to be with Jupiter. Because he said with such confidence, you are doubting. Whereas if he said, oh, is that right? Maybe. But I thought he was because chartered accountant, maybe he should be Scorpio. If he is confused like that, you won't pay much attention. So what matters is how confident you are. And in something like this, where the time has to be off by 3 hours for it to change nakshatra, and there is no date confusion because this is 7:30 p.m., you should be confident. You should say, oh, somebody made a mistake. People use wrong panchangas in old days. Somebody used a wrong panchanga. Everything is standardized now. We know for sure what is the right values to be used. We can see in the skies using NASA's ephemeris, and if you use the latest calculations of NASA, you get more Jashtha. Then the person will feel confident. The thing is, when somebody believes something, if you shake their belief, they have been doing so many pujas for Mula Nakshatra, saying so and so person born in Mula Nakshatra. Obviously, people don't want to change things that they are used to. Human beings want to something that they are used to, they don't want to change. That is the nature of human beings. So if you tell him, no, you are Jyeshtha, he will not immediately believe it. He may not. So you have to say it with some confidence.
Also, if it is Mula first father,
Yeah.
After marriage, the father-in-law has an effect, is what the book says.
Again, you just based on this, you can't say because your father-in-law didn't have an effect, you are not Mula. That's a wrong conclusion.
Because he authoritatively gave it in that book.
I know, but all these Mula so and so pada, so and so person having problem, Ashlesha so and so pada, so and so person having problem. These are all not generic, universal. They are like, if father-in-law has a probability of problem which is like 0.0001 in a normal chart, in that case it's 0.001. It's basically 1000 times more probability, but still it's not 1. It's not 100%. You can't make predictions based on those principles. And moreover, they may have done Shanti. Tabhukta Mola Shanti or whatever, they may have already done. In any case, there is a Gandanta dosha in any case. In any case, he is Jyeshtha only. So don't worry and tell him you are Jyeshtha. And when you go to pujas from now onwards, tell them that you are Jyeshtha. Tell him. Jyeshtha Nakshatra, Vrishchika Rasi. Here, apart from Nakshatra, Rasi is also changing. So here actually you can look at some transits, when things happened. You can actually confirm it even more. Yeah. Okay. So any other questions? Good. So we will see the other chart, send the data, and I will try to get a copy of that Gunanka chart. And also if you can send that sheet to everybody, if you have it with you, that will be good. Okay? You can send it to HJC Boston, so that other people also see it. Okay? So with that we will end for today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.